Welcome to Two Doctors Homestead, and this is the weekend edition of Two Doctors Prepping. And today I want to talk about a really important topic in the prepping community, and that's why. Why should you be prepared? And why are so many people against the idea of prepping, the idea of being prepared, the idea that maybe things aren't going to be okay? And there's a lot of research around that. Not so much the prepping side, but around why people think everything's just going to be okay, and there's no reason to prepare for a natural disaster, or one of many reasons. And we'll actually get into some of the reasons why you should prepare. But there's a study by the American Survey Center that says 47% of Americans are optimistic or very optimistic. So it's in their nature to believe that everything is going to be okay, right? They're not willing to consider the possibility, right, that things aren't going to be okay in the end, right? Nothing to worry about. Eventually, everything's going to be okay. You add to that a term called normalcy bias, which is something we've seen a lot in the last few years, certainly around COVID. And once again, it's your bias towards everything's normal. This is normal. This is okay. There's nothing to worry about, nothing to prepare for, right? It's all right. And and we all want it to be all right. I'm not one that would wish otherwise, but I think it is important to be prepared, right, in case things aren't all right. You look at there's a lot of studies around personal risk assessment, right? Is your ability to determine if a situation is dangerous or to do dangerous activities and think, it's not a big deal. You look at just under 10% of the U.S. population doesn't wear seatbelts, right? Certainly on short trips or long trips. They just think it couldn't happen to me. Nothing bad's going to happen to me. Everything's going to be okay. I don't need a seatbelt, right? Another horrible statistic that shows that people are bad at assessing risk, right, is it's every 48 minutes. Every 48 minutes on average, if you take the over 10,000 deaths a year caused by drunk drivers, that works out to one person every 48 minutes dies of an accident caused by a drunk driver. So the drunk driver getting in the car is thinking, it's okay, right? I'm going to be okay. I can do this. I can drive. Nothing bad is going to happen. I think that's common. Unfortunately, it's way too common. People are not prepared. They don't want to think that they need to be prepared in case something bad happens, right? You see that all the time. Every time there's a winter storm, people panic. They freak out. They go to the grocery store. They buy their milk and bread, right? People panic. When you're not prepared, you panic. So what should you prepare for? And let's talk about some stats around prepping, and maybe that'll get you in the headspace that we're talking about here. First one is civil unrest, right? And these aren't in any particular order of likelihood, but there's actually a great study. There's an article, The Surprisingly Solid Mathematical Case of the Tinfoil Hat Gun Prepper, and the author of the story was a hydrologist, so he did flood surveys for insurance companies to determine the likelihood that your house would get wiped out in a flood, right? So the insurance is going to have to pay it, and they want to know, what are the odds? What are the chances that your house could get taken down in a flood? And they do statistical analysis of historical data. So this researcher did a statistical analysis of the chances of major civil unrest in the United States, and it works out to about a 37% chance in anyone's lifetime of major civil unrest. And this is based on two major revolutions in the 348 years of our country's existence. That works out to about a 10% chance every 18 years that our country could see a violent revolution. And that's optimistic. If you look at the planet right now, you see violent revolutions somewhere about every 2.5 years. So when you're talking 10% chance every 18 years, about a 37% chance throughout your lifetime of civil unrest, major civil unrest. Think the American Civil War, think the American Revolutionary War. Who knows what could happen But 38% chance is a lot more than zero. So people think that nothing could happen, that this couldn't happen. It has happened, and it does happen all over the world. And there's probably a much greater chance of something like that happening here than you might want to realize, right? So one thing to prep, right? Civil unrest or worse. Something else, financial collapse. Are you prepared for financial collapse? Do you think financial collapse is possible? And I made a list. Look at the 2000 financial collapse. The Y2K bubble sent ripples across the economy. A lot of people lost their jobs, a lot of financial chaos, investors lost money. That impacts everyone. You jump forward to 2001, September 11th terrorist attacks sent ripples across the aerospace industry, across multiple industries of people losing their jobs, losing their livelihood due to a terrorist attack, an unforeseen situation. Jump forward to 2006, right? The big real estate crash that lasted through 2007, lasted through 2008. Financial collapse, real estate collapse, sectors falling apart, people losing their houses, people losing their jobs. Jump forward to 2020. We all know what happened 2020. Global pandemic strikes, shuts the world down. Major financial crisis, financial collapse. Jump forward now, 2023. Hyperinflation across the United States. Housing values dropping. Major financial issues, and they say it's going to get worse. Interest rates going up, the cost of living going up, wages are not going up to match it. So financial collapse should be on your list of maybe why you should think about being prepared in case something bad happens, right? Another one, natural disasters. Natural disasters happen. They happen all the time. They happen everywhere. Drought, winter storms, hurricanes, earthquakes. They happen around the globe, and once again, I think a good percentage of the population live their life thinking that's not going to happen to me. Right, just like the 10% of people that don't wear their seatbelts, that's not going to happen to me. I don't have to worry about that, right? And I'm not saying live your life in fear and live your life worried about something bad that's going to happen. And I think that's the challenge. That's the problem is finding that middle ground between saying, you know what, things could happen and we need to be prepared versus I can't exist in society because bad things happen, right? And maybe that's the optimistic mindset. That's the normalcy bias, protecting your sanity from all the things that could happen at any given moment, right? You look at what happened in Boston with the winter freeze where people froze to death in their cars. You look at Hurricane Katrina. Look at any of the major natural disasters that have happened in this country. They happen, right? And I believe you should be prepared. Right. The next one that could happen, extreme natural disasters. Now, these are the fantasy fodder of prepper groups, throughout my lifetime. I'm second generation prepper. Once again, these things will happen at some point. They could happen. They could have horrible implications to all of our life, which is Yellowstone supervolcano. That's on that list of extreme natural disasters that could happen. Look it up. It's something like 20,000 years past due erupting, and the implications, the amount of damage it would do would be staggering, right? Polar shift, it's sort of happening right now, and I don't know if anyone knows how fast the poles are going to shift. You've got the North Pole is actually drifting towards the south, and the South Pole is drifting towards the north, and at some point they're going to flip. It's a thing, and I don't know if anyone knows what impact that could have on our life, our world, the magnetic fields. I don't know. It's there, it's happening. And then the other one is a CME, coronal mass ejection. Every once in a while, the sun just blasts. This coronal mass shoots out of the sun. We don't know historically how often a big one really happens. The data is just not there. The sun's been around millions or billions of years. The Earth's been around millions or billions of years. We don't have but maybe 100 to a couple hundred years of data. So you can't project something that happens over billions of years with a couple hundred years of data. We don't know. A CME could have the same impact as an EMP. wiping out all of our electronics and putting us in the dark age. Once again, not saying it's going to happen, don't know the odds. No one knows. No one knows the odds of something like that happening. Next thing to look at is man-made disasters. We're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of that this year. Power grid under attack. Physical attacks at our critical infrastructure have been happening over the last few months. Substations getting destroyed. If enough substations got destroyed, and certainly do not want this to happen, we're going to find ourselves in a blackout situation that could last a long time, and the results of that would be catastrophic. Infrastructure under attack. You look, been over 15 major accidents this year. Accidents, sabotage. You tell me, I don't know. Trains derailing, chemical plants getting lit on fire. There's stuff happening all over the country right now that's very suspicious, very concerning, and we just don't know. I don't know why all these acts are happening, but it's something to think about. It's something to keep in mind. I think it's important to step out of the mindset of it couldn't happen here, it couldn't happen to me. Well, it's happening all around you. It may not be impacting you, and once again, you have that normalcy bias that everything is okay. But you have to be aware, right? I think we got to wake up. We got to open our eyes a little bit here. The next thing to think about, another reason why you might prepare: wars, global wars, terrorist attacks, cyber attacks, grid down situations, supply chain shortages. What about actual invasion, right? When was the last time our country was invaded by anyone? It certainly wasn't in our lifetime. You're talking hundreds of years. But as we're seeing the possibilities of World War III are building around the globe, and sides are being drawn, and there's actual conflict going on in Ukraine, and really between us fighting a proxy war with Ukraine, between America, between Russia, NATO. Is China get involved? Is North Korea involved? The odds, the possibilities of World War III are higher right now than I think they've ever been. Right, and I'm not the only one to say that. You look at the actual possibility of this kind of a thing happen, of nuclear weapons being exchanged between countries, is higher now than it's ever been. So why? Why does it matter? Why should you prepare? Why am I here trying to tell people, hey, you need to think about preparation, even if it's just a 72-hour bag, that you have a little extra food and water around your house. Why does it matter? Well, unprepared people create chaos, right? They panic, they run to the grocery store, they fight over toilet paper. So the more people that are prepared, the less panic there will be, and the fewer additional problems that we'll have if there is some kind of major disaster, right? You can't just sit home and think, hey, FEMA is going to rescue me if something bad happens. Everything's going to be okay. It might not, right? So you need to be prepared to take care of yourself, to take care of your family, at least at some minimal level. So whether that's just 72 hours, do you have enough food and water in your house for 72 hours? So people need to wake up, and I understand why. If you have normalcy bias, if you're in the 47% of the population that is optimistic just by nature, hey guys, everything's going to be okay. If you're in that 10% of the population that doesn't wear a seatbelt, if you're in the population that kills someone every 48 minutes drunk driving, you're probably not thinking about the future. You're probably not thinking things could go bad. You're not thinking that I might need to be prepared. I would say if that's you, and if you don't want to be prepared, and if you're not willing to accept that things could go bad, when you meet preppers, maybe go easy on them, right? They're coming from a different place, and I see people online all the time discouraged from being a prepper. I get it myself, right? You get pushback from anybody. Oh, you're a prepper, you must be crazy. Why are you worried about the end of the world? Well, there's more to it than that. It's not about just being worried about the end of the world. It's about opening up your eyes a little bit and saying, you know what, maybe I need to be prepared to be self-sufficient. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm on my homestead. Rather than out playing golf at the country club and sipping martinis, is believe in being self-sufficient. That's why we have a homestead. That's why I get up every morning. I feed my chickens. I take care of my dogs. I think it's important to be as self-sufficient as you can to break away from this system that is proving more and more to be unreliable. So we appreciate you. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a good day.